Welcome back to Violet's Light. So, I have been trying to, you know, think of this as just like chronicling my life and making it as simple as possible. I don't want to get in my head, and I want to share information and I want to be as transparent as possible and give you um, some story time because I believe that's the best thing that I have to share. And I want to give you a little bit about like dating after 60. Um, I got divorced in 2016 after 23 years of marriage. Um, so he was a wonderful man. He had good friends. And a sign of a good person is when they have really good friends. And he had really good friends. He was kind and loving, but unfortunately, he had a drinking problem. And as much as I tried, took him to rehab 3 times, um, there was nothing that would make him stop, not even us. We had one child together. And that he loves his son, but he's got some demons that he's battling. And I couldn't keep going. As much as I wanted to make it work, and for me and for my son, I didn't want to do this again. Single. At what age was I? 2016. That was what, 8 years ago? 9 years ago. So I was 56. 56. Yeah. Sheesh. Starting again. But it didn't mean it didn't mean I had to start over again, right? I keep looking down. Sorry about that. I didn't mean I have to start over again. It just meant that I was going to be single. It just meant that you know, I wasn't going to have that plus one. It just meant that I would have to cook all the time. Because he was a good cook. He did cook. So I moved into my own place. I left him the house. Yeah, that's a story for another day. And my son and I moved into a big, beautiful house across from a pond in a good school district, which was important for me, for my son. And I started dating, not like right away, but I was on the apps Match.com, Plenty of Fish. Those were the two primary, and sometimes Hinge. And I knew when I went out on a date, that I knew. I would know right away. I would know whether it was going to be, you know, something or whether it was just going to not. So, um, I would always meet, obviously, in a public place. And just for like an appetizer or a drink. I had some really strange ones. I had one that was very handsy and was ready to go get married. And I told the bartender because he went to the bathroom, I said, I'm on a date, first date. She's like, oh my God, I thought you were married for 10 years with this man. I said, no, I'm on a first date. He wants to be married for 10 years, but no. So I just want you to know, in case things go a little left here. Um, because I would never let them know where I lived. And I would usually meet at, what's that place where you golf? That nice place where you, oh, I loved it. That golf place. Anyway, and after that, I would just delete, 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 block everything, especially if they were crazy people. And then I met a really nice man. Went out to dinner. He was normal family. We started dating. And it was date more and more, and then it became a thing. And but guess what? I mean, I made a mistake. He had been separated for 10 years. And they weren't getting a divorce. Little did I know they weren't going to get a divorce. And as far as I know, they're still married. And I think it had to do with financials, because they didn't love each other anymore. That was obvious. They were civil. They were nice to each other, which is good. I like that, because I grew up with that. My mother was civil to her exes. My stepdad and my mother's new man were friends. They drank together. Yes, I have to tell you that story. So we dated, and 1 year went by, and things start to get a little more serious. And I said, you got to get a divorce, because here I am starting a business. He's becoming a big part of my life. I'm opening restaurants, Yeah. I opened my first restaurant in 2019. And he's a part of my life. He's been there. He's went to, through every step of this process with me. 2 years we're dating. We're going on vacations together. There's more to it than that. I will say, he was not going to get divorced. And I didn't want to be living with a man who was still married to somebody else, because you never know, right? You just never know. What if? And so I didn't let really my heart get too tied up, and I walked away after 2 years of dating. He would come to my house. We would go to, that's how we did it. When my son went to visit his dad, I would go to his house. When my son was home, he would come over. And he loved my son. My son and him got along beautifully. Never a problem. We did a lot of stuff together as a family. But he wouldn't get divorced. So I said goodbye. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, I don't think it was easy for me to walk away from that. 2 years. I just walked away. And then I'm like, here I go again. And I had a string of, met people. Yeah, and when I knew, and I would say thank you, but I don't feel a connection. I don't know if I was doing it wrong. Seriously, how do you know? After so many years of being married, how do you know? It's so hard. And I did want to have that connection with someone. I did want to enjoy life with someone my age, and but it was hard, because now people are set in their ways. People, I can't handle like there's certain things that I'm like picky about. If you're standing like an old man, I can't handle that stance. You know, where their legs are spread apart and their hands are by their side and their belly sticking out. I cannot handle that stance. It's crazy. But yeah, no, it's not for me. Ah, I dated and dated, and I met this one guy on, I don't know what, maybe, I don't know. I think it was Match, or I can't remember where. Nice guy, seemed like it. Took me to a Mexican restaurant for a first date. There was one red flag, you know, and sometimes we ignore them. And the red flag was like, please take me off the market, please. He begged me. At first, I thought it was kind of cute, and then I was like looking at him, and he kind of forced his way into my life. Because he wasn't really my type. Honestly, he wasn't really my type. But we had a lot of the same likes. Like, I like redoing furniture, thrifting. He loved that. So we had that in common, and that was so much fun. We had so much fun doing that. So I started to like him more and more and more. Yeah, he was a go-getter. I liked that about him. He had just moved here from Ohio, and at this point he was living with his brother until he got his stuff together, which he was getting together pretty quickly. He drove a really nice car. He was into cars. But that doesn't matter to me. I'm going to be very honest with you. That doesn't matter to me because I drove a really nice car too. And I really started liking him a lot. It was just the way he cared for me. It was the way he would hold his hand out and grab my hand. Oh, that was everything to me. When he would hold his hand out and grab my hand, pull me close to him. I was so beautiful. He was kind with his words, always telling me how much he cared about me, how much he missed me, how much he couldn't wait to see me. That was music to my ears. It was music to my ears. It was so beautiful. I fell in love. I did. Oh, I was like, I've never been like loved that way with words. Never. Well, once. And that was one of the loves of my life. You know how they say you have 3 loves? Your high school sweetheart, which I was in love with my high school sweetheart. Oh, that's another story for another time. And then there's another love when you get older, you know. Oh, I was in love with this man. And then there's a third one. I haven't really had the third one. So I love my husband, but not like that. That magical, just crazy love. I'm a Pisces, so I'm emotional. I'm like, you know, I believe in love. I love love. And this man just did it for me. But there's a big but. He was rather abusive. Not physically, but with his words. In a way that I couldn't understand. In a way that I had never been abused before. Because while I was in the military, I did date a man who was physically abusive. Not for long, but there was that. But this abuse was different. Let me give you an example. He really didn't like to drive, so I would end up driving all the time, which I hated. And I was supposed to go to the left and get off on the left. Instead, I went to the right because I was turned around. I have a terrible sense of direction. He got so mad. He was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just did that. I told you to go left and you didn't go left." And, one of those kind of things. And I was being scolded. I felt like I shrunk. I shrunk to this little girl being scolded by her parent, you know, and I let it go, and those things just kept happening more and more. And it's like you begin to walk on eggshells. When's the next time? When is it going to happen? And it happened quite frequently. So I tried to behave so that it wouldn't happen. Did you hear that? I tried to behave. And then I'm a giving person. When I have money, you have money. Money means nothing to me. I'm going to be very honest. I lost a lot of money after COVID. Money means nothing to me. So he asked me for money. And I gave it to him. And then he asked me again. And I gave it to him. And again and again and again. We were going to move in together. This was like a year later. He came and he brought his clothes. I was in the kitchen. I was going to start cooking. I said something. I said, "Oh, God, help me." And that set him off. He took all his stuff and left. Everything. But there was something that kept us coming back to each other. I fell in love with him, I think. Or was it just the little girl in me, was wanting his approval? Because that's what it felt like a lot. We started dating again, and then we finally broke it off when he decided to be mean to my child and say mean things. He wasn't mean to him to his face. He said mean things about him to me. And I said, "That is it. This is it. This is done. We are over. No more. Done." I never did get my money back. And he's making good money now. He's got his own business, and he's a survivor. But I never got my money back. And I'll be very honest. To this day, I do miss him because there's something about him that I was attracted to, but it wasn't healthy. It was very toxic. It wasn't healthy. I couldn't do it. And I'm going to be very honest with you. The intimacy part was not good. He thought it was good. Maybe it was good for him, but it was not. So I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled. It was a tough time, and I haven't dated anyone since. I haven't been with anyone since. So, to be honest with you, I love being with myself. I don't have a problem. I enjoy my own company. I am a homebody. I love being home. I love taking care of my place, my son. I go to work part-time to make ends meet. I'm happy. Really, I am. So I mean, I find myself going in and out of dating apps, because it is pure torture sometimes. It's pure torture sometimes. I met a man for coffee once. This was before the toxic relationship. We went to Starbucks and we both got a cup of coffee, and then I didn't like my coffee. It was horrible. So I asked, I'm not picky, but it was horrible. So I exchanged it, and the man says, "Shouldn't I get change back on that coffee?" I said, "What?" So I looking at the cashier, it was a Starbucks. I'm like, "Oh my God." She's like, "As a matter of fact, sir, you owe me money." I was like, ah. So, oh yeah. And then he says, "I want you to come over. I want to make lunch for you." Are you out of your mind for another date? Another date. I said, "You think you buy me a cup of coffee where you want to change back on it? You think you're going to get me to your house for lunch? Are you crazy? Crazy?" No, that was not happening. That was not happening. And he didn't even look like his pictures. Men say, if you don't look like your picture, you're buying a drink until you do. I hate that saying. But most of them didn't look like their pictures. I had some that were gropers. They wanted to touch, 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 kiss, kiss, kiss. I was like, no, oh my God, crazy. So I started doing more of the coffee dates because I felt safer that way, and really short, that way. It's hard to find someone that you like and that you click with, and that you feel like a second date with. I haven't had a date in over, it's about to be 2 years. And then I have some men who want to talk on the phone forever and ever and ever. What's that all about? Yeah, no. I cut you off. I don't really care. Yeah, no. Then I have, because I work with, public, where there's a lot of people, and so I have young guy. No, I'm not doing this young guy thing. It's awful. Awful. It's awful. As much as I want. Because I really would love to have someone to share my life with. But I don't know if I'm willing to compromise. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. I think the older we are, the harder it becomes to, unless you really have a great, great connection. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a great, great connection. I want to go on trips and, sit on the front porch and chat, have a glass of wine together. Yeah, it's simple. It's really simple. So that's some of my dating stories. I hope you enjoyed. If you like what you hear so far, I want to come back and give you more. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get where I'm, I feel free to share, and I have a little cooking thing coming up. I'm editing that right now. Making tacos my way. So subscribe and like. Come back and see me. All right? Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.